about her Venetian optician. Let's assume that this very innovative company having these wonderful glasses had some support, probably perhaps in getting some research support, maybe getting some support from, let's say, a patent information center or whatsoever, getting something to build up the idea and to bring the idea into practice on how to manufacture, how to assemble, and how to market these glasses. We have learned that this wonderful Venetian company was not in the position to go for a European patent, first because it doesn't exist, and second because it was too expensive. So they went for an US patent. But let's continue this story. What will happen if this wonderful Venetian company faces somebody in US or somewhere else infringing their patent? Can this Venetian company actually afford in litigating that patent? Can they actually do something with the patent? And going around, let's say, the scenery of various innovation support systems, there are quite rare systems which actually support these, let's say, final steps. So you have built up innovation, you have built up new ideas, you have maybe even protected them, but then that's the end. And from my experience, and we do a lot of support for businesses and for companies, companies are sometimes asked, well, can you help us in filing a patent in Austria? Can you help us in filing a patent in the US? I can't afford it. I need some support. I need some euros, or I need some operational help. And then I ask, well, if you can't afford the first steps, how will you afford the last steps? And these last steps are even more complicated because due to the fact that we don't have a common European patent system, we have to go to the foreign markets to protect the IP, because it's legal with a patent to enter in any airport or in any harbor where you don't have the patent. And we have the free flow of goods in Europe, so it's in many, many cases quite impossible to catch up a product if this product crosses the border from a country where we don't have a patent protection to a country where this thing is actually protected. So I believe reasonable innovation support deals with the question on how to protect and how to enforce protection. And enforcement of protection has, in many cases, happened in countries outside of Europe. About 70% of pirated and infringed goods come from China. That's quite far away, but 70% of the infringing goods is quite a lot. And I know for Austria, about 200 patents are filed each year in China. That's nearly nothing. That comes up to, let's say, about 5% of the original patent stock is filed there, where most of infringements come from. Why? Because people are afraid of going there, because people believe it doesn't pay, because patent attorneys sometimes say, well, I'm not sure if it goes. And on the other way, Chinese colleagues have learned to use IP and the possibilities IP brings as quite a powerful instrument for searching possible solutions which are not protected. Patent databases are, let's say, the most valuable source of good ideas of what you can do in practice. They are a good source of, let's say, ideas to bring. The Chinese have, let's say, reformed and reinvented their patent system to something which is an even more sharp weapon than those they had in the past. And they start also to, say, playing active with their system. So European companies have to face patent infringements in third countries where they don't achieve patents, where they have to face with, let's say, the the possibility that they can't use their rights because they have forgotten to file these. And it's quite difficult for a small, medium company to run a process, to run a law case in a country which is some 10,000 kilometers away, which has a difficult culture, which has a difficult and different language. So, from my point of view, a reasonable innovation support and a reasonable innovation strategy continues with how to enforce and how to enforce together. It is quite complicated to have something like it's a solution for Austria, a different solution for the Netherlands, and a different solution for Germany or whatsoever. It's quite important that we start to, let's say, work together in order to defend this industrial property and these intellectual values. Might it be patents, might it be trademarks, might it be trade secrets. And so far there have been some European initiatives like help desk somewhere in different countries. But from my perception, these initiatives are quite on a small scale. They are not, let's say, in line with national activities, and they are somehow, let's say, only first steps because they just give information, but they don't give operational help to companies. They don't give financial help to companies. So innovation support is also, let's say, getting reasonable and meaningful assistance the whole way, the whole route. If you're not willing to do this, you should consider if it is really reasonable to start.
Thank you. And thank you for the call on joint efforts on enforcing. If you talk about the IPR help desk, I think that's one of the items also. I can go to Ms. Saxena. Can you maybe talk more about what you mean about the code of practice that you see in the technology transfer initiatives?
Well, thank you. Is it on? Yeah. First of all, thank you for inviting me. And I'm sitting here on behalf of the German Federal Ministry, but I'm also sitting here on behalf of the German Eureka presidency that is going on at the moment. And as you might be knowing, international cooperation and collaboration is one of the big topics with regard to intellectual property for the German Eureka presidency. Before this, we were just now talking about collaboration. I think the gentleman called Richard and Ms. Herzog from the European Parliament were addressing the collaboration part, and I could have made Ms. Herzog very rich because it exists. It's here. This is the code of practice that you were just now referring to. Let me just explain in which context these Commission recommendations were created and what their benefit is, what their use is, and what we're planning to do with it. When we were looking at the key figures of the European Commission, we saw there's a lot of intellectual property output that we're having, but there's not a lot of exploitation looking at Europe, especially when you're comparing that to surveys done by Autumn on exploitation, on patents, applications, on licenses being done or startups. That's why there are, as Richard had said, a lot of national initiatives, but there was not a unified European approach. To increase knowledge transfer, collaboration, the competitiveness of Europe, Germany had the idea during its presidency in 2007 to have an